Hi there, I'm Cheryl, and I have a new card to show you. We're going to do a little bit of work with the texture paste for this card. And there's our card. So this is what you're going to need. I used a Night of Navy marker. We're going to need our pokey tool. Oops. Sponge dauber. And a piece of lemon lime cardstock, and about 2.5 by 5. I've already pre-cut this nice swirly leaf die. I need a piece of Whisper White Thick for the card base. That's 5.5 by 8.5. Scored and folded at 4 1/4. And we need another piece that's 4 1/4 by 5.5. And we're going to trim that to 3 3/4 by 5. This is what we're going to put our texture paste on. Piece of Night of Navy. Oop, I'm flipping little stamens around in here. That's 3 3/4 by 5. That'll be a layer on our card front. And I have a whole bunch of little pieces of white cardstock here. I used the heavyweight Whisper White to make my flowers. And then we need another little piece here that's, I didn't write this down. It's about 3 by 2 inches. And that's what we're going to cut our little banner on the front, our little label, I guess. So, and I also have some silver tipped stamens. These are the ones that have a little bit of a texture on them. They're almost kind of like rock candy. I'm going to leave them in there because there's a real good chance I'll lose those. So I have 4 of those for each of my flowers. I have 2 flowers on the front. I have a mask. This is the brick mask, and this was from, oh dear, did I write this down? Pattern Party Decorative Masks. And that's a Stampin' Up product. Then we also are using a silver embossing paste. And then we need a palette knife of some sort. I have a nice metal one here that I got at Michael's when they had a 40% off coupon. They have some plastic ones, a couple different shapes of plastic ones on the Stampin' Up website. The stamp says we're using Cake Soiree. I'm using May Your Day Be As Wonderful As You. Happy Birthday. That will go on the inside of our card. And then on the outside of and this flower right here from Birthday Blooms, that goes on the inside also. I didn't show you the inside. There's the inside of the card. The happiest of birthdays to you goes on the inside. And then, oh, I don't have it out, but I have the stamp out from Carols of Christmas. There's a little, I don't know, can you see that? That little edge die there. It's a straight line and has a little flourish, kind of, I don't know, it's not a fleur-de-lis, but it's just a little decorative thing in the middle there. We're going to be using that also, and that was from Carols of Christmas. Now, from the Heartfelt Creations Cut Mat Create 2A set. That's where I got the die to cut my leaf out, my swirly leaf. And I used the classic rose for the flowers. And we're using these 2. It's the biggest one and then the next the biggest. They're all on one stamp. So those two, you need one of those for each of the flowers. So you need 2 of each. So I have that, and the die set, and the shaping mold I used. So, oh, I still have more stuff. I used a white organza ribbon. It's 1/4 inch wide, and it's the kind that has the satin edges on it. This is from Stampin' Up. And oh, I didn't check to see if they still carry this or not. But it was a Stampin' Up product when I bought it. But this is something you can find easily in the craft store. Memento black, the Tuxedo black, Granny apple green stamp pad. We're using also the Pretty Labels punch. And I'm using the Nuvo Embellishment Mousse. And this color is Cornflower Blue. So, I'm just going to tell you how I colored the flowers. I used Night of Navy ink, the stamp pad. So I stamped the flower in Night of Navy ink. Then with my finger, I applied the embellishment mousse all over it. I die cut them both out, and then shaped them with the rose shaping mold. So that's a very easy thing to do. You just put them face down in the mold, give them a light spritz of water, and run them through your embossing machine with just the cutting plates. You leave the platform out, and that shapes your flowers. Normally I show you how to make the flowers too, but this is just such a simple little flower that I didn't feel the need to do that. But I will show you how I put the stamens in. You can see this pretty little stamens in the center. So that's where we need the pokey tool. And let's see, I have that over here. When you get your pokey tool, it's got a little end cap on it. Keep that, because it's a pokey tool. It's very pokey. So let's see. I don't have a piercing mat. I use things like the back of this notepad, or I use little boxes that I've gotten things in the mail. I keep them around usually. But we're going to pierce a hole in the center of the flower. And you want that hole pretty good size, because we've got to feed through those stamens. Okay. So I've got my holes in there. And I'm going to get my little scissors. I'm going to cut just like a little slit. Actually, I think on the big one I'll cut a piece out. Because like I said, we need some room. You see, we need some room to get that in there. Let me I'll make this, just go like this and make this hole bigger. Okay. Oh, we also I have the Designer's Dries Clear Glue. I like that glue. And I have my snail because I may want to use that. So let me get those stamens. I'll show you how I did that. Then our flowers will be completed and the glue can start to dry on those. So I just get my little bundle of stamens, and I used 5 of them for each of these flowers. And give them a little twist in the center here. Some of them come on a wire stem, and that makes things a little easier. These were not. I need to poke that through the little flower. Like I said, this is not the easiest thing in the world to do. Oh, I think I need a little bigger hole there. I'll just cut some out. I just don't want to cut the petals apart. Okay, there we go. I should be able to get it through that hole. There. There. Got them. And we'll pull them down. And now we'll poke them through the big flower. Yep, that needs a little bigger hole too. I like to make my life a little as easy as I can. That means having a little bit bigger hole in my flowers. Well, so be it. Okay. So we'll poke that down through the hole. I want our flower petals to be offset, like so. Then I'm going to take some of this dry clear glue. I'm going to give myself a good amount down there. I'm going to poke it down actually in between the stamens too, just so I make sure that all of them have gotten some glue on them. And then just underneath here, between the large and the small flower, I'll put a little bit too. Okay, so there we go. We've got them all poked. I'll shape that up just a little bit, and we can put that aside to dry, and we'll have both of our little flowers ready to go. So let's do the messy stuff next. Let me get my palette knife in here. Oh, close up the glue so that doesn't get dried up. And my stencil. Need my piece of white paper. Where did that go? Oh, it's right here. There it is. And my embossing paste. Here. Put my stencil down here, like so. I'm going to put a little bit of repositionable tape, top and bottom on this. That will hold it onto my mat. And I want it just a little bit of an angle. You want it that way? I want it that way. I'll do it this way. Okay, so that'll hold my stencil in place. My paper's underneath, so that shouldn't move. I'll just get some of this embossing paste on my palette knife, and I'm just going to start spreading it on there. So I guess obviously I can't talk and do this at the same time. Just get that covered. We're going to be trimming the edges off, so I'm not real concerned about the very edge. So I want to make sure everything that's going to be on, showing on my card front, I want that covered. Okay. I can scrape off the excess now. Just put that back in the jar. There's some areas that had little bubbles, it looks like. Let me get back in there and fill those in. If you're doing something you want little bubbles, that would be fine, but I do not. Embossing paste is fun. Okay, well I still have some little bubbles, looks like. Okay, that's fine. That's good enough. Okay, so close that paste up real well. And I'll carefully peel my stencil off now. Alright. And I can put my paper aside and let it dry. I'm going to clean my table up. I'm going to clean my stencil right away. And I'll be back in just a bit. Okay, everything's all dry now. And I cut down my piece that I used the embossing paste on down to 3 3/4 by 5, so that's all ready to go on the card. And let's do some stamping now. And I have my stamp here already mounted on my block. It says, "May your day be as wonderful as you," and it says, "Happy birthday." Well, I don't want the happy birthday, so I'm going to put a piece of masking tape over that and ink this up. And then I'll just carefully pull my piece of masking tape off, and into the trash that goes. And I'll stamp that on my piece of Whisper White here. And then I'm going to take this little border piece off. I'm going to put this on a smaller block, because I'm going to stamp this one again underneath. And it's a little hard to line up with a rubber stamp, but just do the best you can. Mine's just a little off. It's not going to make all that much difference. Then I'll use my pretty label punch. Just slide this piece in here and get that centered. And punch that out. I'll bring in my Night of Navy ink here and a sponge dauber. I'm going to ink up all the edges on this. It just adds a little something, I think. Okay, so that's ready now. Then my card base, I need my other stamp, my happiest of birthdays to you. Ink that up also with the Memento black. Now I don't want this in the center. I want this just a little bit to the side. Okay, that came out nice. That was a nice impression. Because I'm going to add this little rose type flower over here. I'm going to stamp that at an angle. Not the best of impressions, but that's okay because we're going to color that in. So all around the edge of the flower, well, anywhere there's shadow, I'm just going to go in with my Night of Navy marker and around the edge there. And I'm just kind of dotting this in. Around the top edge. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm going to use my embellishment mousse to continue coloring that flower in. I'm not going to do the leaves and the stem. On my original card, on my sample card, I just used my finger and colored it. But that can be a little fiddly, so I'm going to use a cotton swab and my mousse. So I pick up some of my mousse and just go in with my mousse and fill the rest of that flower in. I'm going to try to avoid the night of navy as much as I can, because this will dull it out. Okay, and turn my card. Okay, so now the inside of our card is decorated. Close that mousse up, because I don't want that drying out. And we can start putting our card together. So I need my piece of Night of Navy. That's going to go down just like this. I'll use my Snail Adhesive for that. Okay, and that goes at an angle like so. And then next comes my bricks, and they go at an angle in the opposite direction. So we have a little wonky card front here. Okay, then the next will be our leaves, but before I put those down, I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green and just add a little bit of that to the leaves here and there, just around the edges of them, maybe on the tips a little, just to add a little something to them. Just so it's not just a plain flat lemon lime twist green. Oh, I need to wipe that up. I don't want that green to get anywhere it's not supposed to. Well, now it gets adhered to the card front. And I'll use my Designer's Dries Clear Glue. And I'm not completely covering it, I'm just getting it in enough places to hold it onto the card. And that will go on the card like this. You just want to keep it inside the edges of the card. And the next is our ribbon. So I've cut myself two 12-inch pieces of ribbon. I'm going to take some of my Snail Adhesive. I'm going to put just a good amount of it right there. That's about an inch and a half in from the center. I'm going to make one loop and stick that down. Now I'll make another loop and stick that down. We'll be trimming off these ends. And put some more of my snail down and take my second piece and stick it down, make a loop, make another loop, and that's all stuck down there. Let me get my nice sharp scissors here, and we're just going to trim the ends at an angle. Okay, and now we're ready to place the flowers. So these are all dry now. Our stamens are dry, and I'm going to use the glue again and put a good amount of glue on the back there. I was tempted to use my glue gun for this, but then the thought of burning my fingers kept me from doing that. And this glue is pretty good about sticking. So and do the same on this piece. And put that one down here a little bit. And now we're ready to add our sentiment and just some snail adhesive on the back of that. Of course, anywhere you wanted to, you could pop it up. And then I'm going to put this at a slight angle this way. I know I've got angles, I've got things going off in all directions here. And that is the card. Now, in case you don't have this little die or this little stamp, I'm going to show you how you can cheat. I'm going to grab my black marker, my Stampin' Right marker, and a ruler. And I'm going to show you how you can make that little embellishment without having the stamp. So I'm going to start out in the center. I'm just going to make a little dot here, a little circle, and then a little dot on either side. I'll take my ruler and put that down. And I'm going to go to my fine point side and just draw a line. Draw a line. And then I'll go back to this other tip. And I'll make my little, just little loops here. And you can see, you can kind of make your own little design. So that's the card. It's finished. So if you've liked this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. If you want to see more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button. If there are any Stampin' Up! Products you'd like to purchase, that would be wonderful if you used me as your demonstrator. And you can do that either through my blog or my Facebook page. There's a shop button on each of those. And as always, I'll have all the materials I used listed down below. So y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.